Howdy, folks. At this point, No Man's Sky is pretty famous for its lack of paid DLC. Nearly 10 years of support and dozens of updates later, this universe-sized game has somehow avoided the inclusion of any premium paid currency. That said, there are plenty of other currencies that travelers will need to be aware of. So if you're trying to wrap your head around everything, allow me to help. I'm Kanaju, and this is Every Currency in No Man's Sky Explained. Brought to you by you. Thanks for watching. Speaking of currency, double thanks to my valued members of the channel. So before I get into the currencies, I should probably define what I mean by currency. According to Merriam-Webster.com, currency is, quote, something such as coins, treasury notes, and banknotes that is in circulation as a medium of exchange, end quote. So in other words, it's money. It's stuff that exists primarily to trade for goods or services. And No Man's Sky is full of different monies. Money, money, money. So let's begin with the most basic of currencies. The original. The one we all know and love. Units.
Units received.
The symbol for units is a U with two lines through it. Very sleek. Units have been the basic currency of No Man's Sky since its launch back in August 2016. Units are the most common form of currency, accepted by trade terminals and random traders. They can be used to purchase most goods and raw materials. They're also used to purchase starships, freighters, exosuit inventory slots, multi-tools, and more. Whether you're buying fuel, building materials, or a new ride, it's going to cost you units. Their relative value has fluctuated over the years as the game has been rebuilt and rebalanced multiple times. Originally, 1 million units was a lot of cash. Nowadays, though, it's not uncommon to see transactions of tens or even hundreds of millions of units for things like high-end starships and freighters. Classic inflation. Appropriately, units are easier to earn than ever before. That's due in part to just how many ways there are to earn units. Find something shiny on the ground? Sell it for units. Fix up a crashed ship you found? Trade it in or salvage it for units. Scan a random plant or creature? Have some units. Complete a mission board assignment?
Units received.
Looting derelict freighters, sending frigates on missions, digging up artifacts, you get the idea. Units are a generic reward and the generic currency of the No Man's Sky universe. Fun fact, your bank account maxes out at 4,294,967,295 units. Apparently, that's the highest a 32-bit integer can go. So that's cool. And before you ask, yes, plenty of folks have hit that 4.3 billion unit limit. That's part of why starship upgrades are so expensive, I think. You know, those poor rich travelers need somewhere to spend their money. Our next currency was added in 2017's Pathfinder update, Nanite Clusters, or nanites for short. The symbol for nanites resembles a computer chip. However, it's actually an abstraction of this, a nanite. The in-game description reads, quote, a dense miasma of nanites, undulating in its potentiality. These clusters are stable, but unrestricted nanite foam can produce undesirable runaway reactions in the presence of organic matter, end quote. That's right, nanites are actually these tiny inorganic things. Unlike most of the other currencies in this video, nanite clusters actually have a lot of uses outside of trade. Nanite clusters, or nanite foam, can actually rewrite genetic material and interface with electronics. In fact, the capabilities of nanites seem almost unlimited. They're often referenced in lore and quest lines due to their unique abilities to change and rewrite matter. As an in-game currency, they're also quite unique. While they're stored outside of your inventory like units are, they can be refined from various resources and added to your inventory where they're automatically converted into your nanite funds. You can earn nanites from almost as many activities as units, including uploading discoveries, interacting with various travelers on the Anomaly, mission board assignments, selling upgrade and tech modules, looting derelict freighters, and as previously mentioned, refining certain resources. Plus more. Despite how common nanites are, they've managed to maintain a higher individual value than units, with the most expensive purchases being in the thousands versus tens of millions with units. Nanites are associated with upgrades and technology, making them the preferred currency of upgrade vendors. They're also used for interacting with travelers, adding companion slots, adding squadron slots, and more. Fun fact, nanites resemble these Hexbug nano toys I used to see all the time as a kid. I actually had a blue one that I got in a gift exchange. Our third currency rounds out the big three you see under your name in menus: Quicksilver. Its symbol is this gold thing. I don't know, it's exotic. Like Quicksilver. Quicksilver was added following 2018's next update in version 1.58. It was originally added as a reward for weekly weekend missions. Later, it was added as a reward for completing Nexus multiplayer missions. In both cases, it remained a limited resource. You couldn't grind for an unlimited amount, like you could with units and nanites. Instead, there was a daily and weekly limit to how much you could collect. From time to time, they would add additional avenues to earn more, but it still remains a limited resource to this day. This has kept the prices of Quicksilver transactions the lowest of the three main currencies. Most items range in price between 300 and 800 Quicksilver. Quicksilver can only be spent with the Quicksilver Synthesis Companion aboard the Space Anomaly. This vendor includes the most varied inventory in the game. You can purchase base building parts, player banners, custom apparel, decals, fireworks, player titles, posters, starship trails, bobbleheads, music tracks, and more. When they first added the Quicksilver shop back in 2018, I was 100% convinced it was going to be a paid premium currency. After all, Hello Games had just given us the next update, delivering more than I ever expected from the game. And considering every other game with that level of support either charged for DLC or had a premium shop, I figured they'd earned the right to do the same. Of course, here we are in 2025, and they still refuse to take my money. Those smug bastards, giving me hundreds of hours of enjoyment from dozens of free updates over 9 years. Who do they think they are? Don't they have bills to pay? Salaries? Marketing? Oh wait, I'm giving them free marketing right now, I guess. Alright, I could live with that. Anyway, the most expensive item in the shop is the generically named Exosuit Backpack, with a price tag of 3,500 Quicksilver. That's a lot of dough. For reference, if you're completing daily missions every day for 400 Quicksilver, you'll earn 2,800 Quicksilver in a week. If you complete the weekend mission for 1,800 Quicksilver, you could accrue a total of 4,600 Quicksilver in a week. This number could of course be increased with extra encounters, expeditions, or stacking missed daily missions, but in general, you can expect to earn 4,800 Quicksilver a week if you're logging in every day and completing all available Quicksilver missions. But that's all I feel like saying about Quicksilver. Alright, so we've covered units, nanites, and Quicksilver, the three main currencies of No Man's Sky, as indicated by their dedicated counters in the UI. However, according to our Merriam-Webster.com definition of currency, we still have more to cover. The following currencies are actually stored in your inventory like a regular resource. So if units and nanites are like Visa and MasterCard, accepted most places, then the following currencies are like gift cards. They're a bit more limited in where you can spend them. Then again, I suppose Quicksilver is the most limited, but that's beside the point. The point is, that was a really good metaphor. Okay, let's start with the fourth currency added in the game in 2020's Halloween update, Tainted Metal. Tainted Metal is described as, quote, shredded fragments of a soft gray metal, end quote. This special scrap can only be found aboard derelict freighters in space. Since they're found as random loot, how much you earn per dungeon can vary greatly. That said, there isn't a limit to how many freighter dungeons you can run in a day, so it's not as restricted as Quicksilver. It still takes time to accrue a fortune though. The only type of vendor that accepts tainted metal is the scrap dealer, found in space stations under the stairs by Dinosaur George. Just like the Quicksilver vendor, this special vendor sells exclusive build parts and customization pieces, not to mention some contraband and repair kits. Most prices range from 200 to 800 tainted metal. The most expensive item in the shop is the horrific flesh helmet, sold for 3,200 tainted metal. Is it worth it? You tell me. One more note, you can actually toss your tainted metal into a refiner to create nanites. So maybe those scrap dealers are actually after the nanites? I don't know, something to think about. The most recent currency added to the game was a part of the Echoes update in 2023. If you're new to the game, it's likely you haven't encountered this currency yet, as it's part of the end game, available after, maybe 30 or so hours of story content. It could be considered a bit of a spoiler, so if you'd like to skip ahead to the goofier currencies after this, here's a timestamp for that. For everyone else, it's time to talk about Void Motes. Merriam-Webster.com defines a mote as, quote, a small particle, end quote. So I guess a void mote is a small part of the void. The game defines it as, quote, a purified drop of Atlantideum, refined to its very essence, end quote. Sounds about right, but who would use a small piece of the void as a currency? Well, the autophage, of course. Surprisingly, void motes are pretty fleshed out as a currency, with multiple options for income and tons of shops to spend them at. As an endgame currency, you won't be able to begin earning them until you've encountered the autophage. Then each individual autophage should have some quest or chore that will reward you with void motes. Each quest usually gives you between 200 and 600 void motes. I like to start a bunch of missions all at once to make completing them even more efficient. Apparently, you can also scrap Atlas or Atlantid multi-tools for a few thousand void motes apiece, so that's pretty good too. Once you have yourself a nice little pile, you have a few options for spending them. As of the Beacon update, there are 2 types of shops that will accept void motes: autophage synthesis terminals found in autophage camps and settlements, and harmonic interfaces found in harmonic camps. These shops offer exclusive autophage customization parts for your character, as well as a random assortment of staff parts used in the construction of custom staff multi-tools. Repair kits, exclusive exosuit upgrades, and autophage settlement charts can also be purchased. Most items will run you a few hundred void motes, giving the currency plenty of utility. But the most expensive item in the shop is the autophage settlement chart, with a price of 1,499 void motes. That's pretty expensive. Alright, so those are the 5 currencies that we would traditionally consider currencies, right? However, there are other vendors and terminals that will allow us to exchange all sorts of stuff for other stuff. So let's do a lightning round of pseudo currencies, starting with navigation data found in space stations and buildings, which can be traded to the cartographer for specific charts. Salvage data, which can be found buried on planets, is used to exchange for build part blueprints, either in the space anomaly or through a blueprint analyzer. Salvage frigate modules can be used for unlocking new freighter tech. Multi-tool expansion slots, exosuit expansion units, storage augmentations, and cargo bulkheads can be used to upgrade the slots on multi-tools, your exosuit, starships, and freighters, respectively. Lastly, factory override units can be used to unlock blueprints within industrial buildings. Whew, alright, that's a lot, but we're not done here. You see, No Man's Sky also supports bartering now, so that means fossils could now be considered a currency of their own. Fossil collectors in space stations and at planetary dig sites will happily trade bones for more bones. So if you have a bunch of bones you don't care for, you can try bartering them for a specific piece you're looking for. Unlike every other currency we've covered so far, these aren't a generic resource that you stack thousands of. Instead, each type of bone is different, and each type will take up its own inventory slot, so these often take up a lot of inventory space. Additionally, these fossils can be used to construct your own skeletal displays. This makes them an extremely unique pseudo currency, if you can even call them that. In a somewhat similar note, procedural loot found in archaeological digs can also be exchanged, albeit less intentionally, through artifact exchange vaults. These terminals are only available at colossal planetary archive buildings. You can trade your artifacts and other junk for something of equal or greater value. Well, that's how it's supposed to function. I feel like I've lost money on these before, but let me know your experience in the comments below. Maybe I'm just imagining that. And while you're commenting on that, we have one more market to cover, the Anomalous Food Market. Cronus, the Gordon Ramsay of No Man's Sky, has a list of daily dishes you can quote-unquote donate. If you do, you'll earn both nanites and esteem in the eyes of Cronus. These recipes vary in complexity and offer a unique way to earn nanites. So I guess food isn't exactly a currency in this case, but it is labeled as a market, so I don't know. I thought it was worth mentioning. And before you say anything, yes, I'm also aware of guild envoys. You can trade loot based on the guild for a positive guild standing, which is sort of like bartering. However, all the stuff in that shop is free, so I don't know where that leaves us. One last currency before I close this video, first spawn relics. You can't spend them or anything, but I always thought they looked like ancient coins, right? They look like ancient currency. Anyway, So that was every currency in No Man's Sky explained briefly. I hope you found this video helpful and or entertaining. I also hope I didn't forget any currencies. That would be kind of embarrassing. If I did though, please let me know in the comments below so other folks can benefit from your knowledge. If you liked the video, make sure YouTube knows that by hitting the like button. And if you're interested in more content like this, please consider subscribing. I'm working towards 50k subscribers, and I appreciate any help I can get. I also have channel memberships for 99 cents, if you feel inspired to spend a little currency yourself. Shout out to my valued members of the channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!